Hi everyone! Welcome to another episode of Nathan's 3D Factory. In this episode, I'm going to show you how to model a propeller. So this is going to be a really simple propeller. This is something to get you started here, okay? So first of all, I'm in the default scene. I'm going to get rid of this cube. And by default scene, I mean my default scene. So first, Shift A. I'm going to add a mesh circle. Okay. Now, I'm going to take the vertex value down to 16. I'm going to bump this value up to 10. Fill type, I'm going to put Ngon. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tab into edit mode. And then I'm going to press E to extrude. I'm going to take it up 40. Okay, so that's the first stuff I do to make the shaft. Next thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to deselect that by just clicking outside of it, pressing Shift A, doing another circle inside of this while I'm still in edit mode. Okay, so I have the fill type to Ngon, 16 vertices, and I'm going to keep that at 10 right now. And then I'm going to scale that on the x-axis 3 times. There we go. Now, what I want to do is that I want to assign this to a vertex group. And I'll show you why in a moment. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do Control G, assign to new group. Now, immediately on here, we have our vertex groups. So this is under the data on our properties. I'm going to rename this to solidify. All right. There we go. And then I'm going to grab this by pressing G. Then I'm going to go along the x-axis. And I'm going to take this 35. So I did some experimenting on that value. Now, we have that at the bottom. What I want to do next is I want to rotate that on the x-axis 45 degrees. Now that I have that, I want to bring this up on the z-axis, GZ, 20 units. Okay? Next thing I'll do is that I am going to duplicate this by doing Shift D, and normally I do scale Z -1, but in this case what I'm going to do is I'm going to say rotate Z, and one thing I forgot to do was I forgot to change my pivot point from median point to 3D cursor. Very important when you're doing this kind of thing. So I've gotten that duplicated already, so all I have to do is do RZ 180. Now, the reason why I did that was because of the rotation on these faces right here. Very important stuff. Okay, so now that we have that, we have our basics for these shapes, but I also want to round off the top here. And to do that, I'm going to do Alt, click on one of the edge loops, then I'm going to do Control B. Now this one, I figured at about like a width of 8 was good on this. Now, to round it off, instead of just having an angled top, I'm going to change my segments from 1 to a higher value. The higher you get, the smoother it's going to become. So I'll do 7, and I think I should be good there. So now, got all this stuff right here. Basic shape for a propeller. But last thing that I want to do for the crowning achievement here, to make this really happen, actually there are a couple things I'm going to do, is that I'm going to take these blades and I'm going to solidify them. Now, we're going to add a solidify modifier. I absolutely love that you can just like search that now with the modifiers. Years ago, wasn't possible. Even maybe a few months ago, I'd say, you know? So, solidify modifier. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to take this so that these vertices, when you have them in as an offset of -1, then wherever your normals are facing, it's going to go in the opposite direction. If your normals are facing that way and it's a positive one, then it would go the same direction. However, I want this so that this is evenly distributed in both directions. To do that, I set the offset to 0. The thickness I'm going to put as 1. Now you'll notice that everything gets solidified. If I go into Z wireframe mode, you'll see everything gets solidified. But what I want is just for this piece and this piece, which I assign to the vertex groups, to be solidified. So I have the vertex group right here. And I can say solidify for my vertex group, and then you see that it just gets these guys right here. I want these also to be even thickness. That's always a good way just to kind of keep things so that they're not doing any uneven wonky things here, you know? So now we have those items solidified. We got our blades. I do want to take a couple more steps just to make it look just that much more awesome, you know? So, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a subdivision surface. Okay? And again, right off the bat, you see this ugly stuff going on here. Don't quite want that, right? Now I'm going to change that to a level 2. So, to make this so that only the parts you want smooth are showing smooth, we're going to take a couple more steps. So first, we're going to select those right there, Shift E, and what that does is that allows for us to crease that. I'm going to put it up to 1. You can get it for a little lower value. You don't have to do that, but I like to have it at 1. Shift E, 1. Same thing there. And now you see that we have some creased edges where we want them creased. And then for everything else, goes smooth. Now, you also notice that you're seeing a lot of flat faces. If you want that so that doesn't show up like that, go back into edit mode. We can say, all right, I want this to be all shaded smooth. Now, I will say that doing shade smooth, it does have its advantages and its disadvantages, as you'll see in a moment. So, do Shift F3, shade smooth. Okay. Now you get out of there. All right, there you go. But look at that. Doesn't look so good, does it? So this is where you can choose where you can shade smooth and you can shade flat. So, right here, looks good, shaded smooth. Right here, not so much. So if I go to face select mode, press 3, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I want to shade flat. And there we go. Same thing here. We can shade flat. Shade flat. Looks much better, doesn't it? Now this stuff at the bottom, yeah, I admit that doesn't look great, but you can also like control that too. Do stuff like that. Then it kind of helps so it doesn't look so weird, you know? Anyway, so that is how you model a simple propeller in Blender. And so I hope that this gave you some good inspiration on making some really awesome models. Make sure that if you haven't subscribed yet, that you subscribe. Make sure you like and comment as well, so that this contributes to the success of our channel. Also, I post videos every single week on how you can model in Blender, and also how you can take things to 3D print or other applications. I may do some other things, like I may do some like animated stuff as well. So let me know what you think, what you'd like to see in the comments. And thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, guys.